Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, probably both of you are a question. Have you, out to study with Grant and Jordan, who do you think's more talented in their own way?
Well, I want to hear Dylan's answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love Black Card. Like there's a lot of Canadian guys up here, but Stefan, it's very simple and it's a great way for the average person to start up. And then they also have the resources for the big guys to kind of scale up. And I think Marston's really good for that now. For once you do get big, so you'll be kind of thinking years ahead, and you'll be able to make up for a lot of time by just learning the more effective ways to do it. You won't have to figure it out by yourself. Grant Cardone, it all becomes the same thing eventually, Ash. And I know it's such a huge, wide world now, but it really comes down to understanding the product like extensively well. So the product is the house that you found and why it's going to help them, why it serves them. All those numbers you got in the back of your head, locked down. And then you have to just be a competent, personable person who is good at finding that 1 in 100 person who wants to invest with you, and kind of so being the perfect mix of I've got all my T's crossed and my I's dotted, and here's my little information booklet that you're not going to read, but you know that I have. They probably won't want to read it. And then here is me not being an awkward robot person, and I'm confident. I like to go to the gym, or I play hockey. Do you play hockey? And then those two fuse. And that's basically what you find, I think, with a lot of these programs is there's a system to follow, and it's how quick can I get you to agree with my thing? And that's in various ways. It's your personality and it's your background work, which is your previous knowledge on what you're trying to sell. So that it all becomes the same thing eventually, as what I've found. Yeah. You have to make your own spin on it. That's what is Ash Burden's way of getting people to like his product and his company.
Yeah, well said. Well said. You're never going to be the next Grant Cardone, right? You're never going to be as good as Grant Cardone is at being Grant Cardone. You're never going to be as good as Stefan Aarnio was at being Stefan Aarnio, and so on and so forth. So yeah, you have to internalize it, and there's going to be your personality coming out of it. So that's what Dylan's saying too. It's a lot of it boils down to a very similar framework and structures and everything like that, and the principles are very similar, are the same. And then all these guys have put on their own lipstick to it, right? And because that's his personality. So I've learned Stefan Aarnio firsthand, right? And I know what he has to say is very, very important, and you can apply it to a lot of different sales techniques. Keep in mind, he's learned a lot from guys such as Jordan Belfort, and he's learned from guys such as Grant Cardone as well, because they're older and they've been around since the 80s or whatever, right? So you're going to learn things with Marston teaching. You're going to learn things with anything you read inside of Stefan Aarnio's books and the sales class as well. And then you're also going to learn tips and tricks from other people. You see there's tons of guys trying to teach sales as well. If you can understand it and turn around to teach it to the other person, that's where you become a superstar. That's where you become really good. So if you can understand those things, break them down, explain them to a 5-year-old, you understand it fairly well. So now you can kind of do it, as I said, forwards, backwards, inside and out, right? You just can play with it, and it's your baby, right? It's what you're doing. And sometimes the reason we allude to other guys like Belfort, whoever, is because they've taken the time to write it out and to kind of put it into words and repeated it like a million different times. Like a lot of these guys put their very best information out there for free, and then they sell the rest of the course on top of that until it gets to the very top, until you're paying the huge dollars for coach. Like the very best is in the in a lot of like the marketing material, like the free stuff. It's a business model, right? So you will, as if you dive into one particular teacher, you will get to know that person's methods, and that's good. But if you try to dive into 10, it's going to be very confusing.
Yeah, that's what I definitely, as soon as like I invested in Blackheart, it was like, yeah, no, I can't, it's gonna be Blackheart, and then the raising capital with Marston was like, okay, this is all I can handle.
Yeah, the sales as a pastime or as a hobby, as an actual action that you're going to be taking, you're going to be doing that inside of pretty much a lot of the different businesses that you're already doing, right? You're doing it within real estate, and you have a sales job, right? So that's the act of selling. So anytime you can go out there and practice like the inner circle with Marcin like this is great, because again, you're just kind of working the kinks out, right? So and then one thing I will add to that too is that Stefan Aarnio and Marcin, they have quite a few similarities because they've learned from similar people as well, and they practice in a similar way in a similar industry, so they have a lot of similarities that kind of work with each other. And me myself, I'm essentially a product of both of them, so it's good that you're sticking to that and adding to it as you can. The biggest thing is the practice though.